Bible, one of the oldest and most sacred texts of humanity, is not just a collection of stories about faith and morality, but also a rich treasure trove of mystical beings. From the shining angels standing guard over the heavens to the giant sea monsters rising from the depths of the ocean, the creatures in the Bible have become symbols not only of faith but also of mysteries beyond human understanding. So, do these creatures truly exist, or are they merely products of ancient imagination? Do they represent supernatural powers, human reverence, or simply an interpretation of the natural world from an ancient perspective? In this video, we will delve into the world of mystical beings, decoding each story to gain a better understanding of what we know and what we have yet to explain about these creatures. From the shimmering angels to the colossal Leviathan, from the mysterious Nephilim giants to the strange animals in ancient writings, we will explore each aspect. Prepare to discover the colorful supernatural world of the Bible, a realm filled with extraordinary beings and stories beyond imagination. In the first part, we will learn about the holy creatures in the Bible. In the world of the Bible, there are extraordinary, powerful, and divine beings described as entities closest to God. These divine beings are not just messengers, but symbols of sacred power, bridges between humanity and the Almighty. They come in many forms, with unique powers and roles, from radiant angels embodying the light of faith to mysterious entities with distinct appearances and functions. Let's explore angels, seraphim, cherubim, and the archangels in the most vivid and mysterious descriptions found in the Bible. Angels and seraphim. Angels are God's messengers, present throughout the stories of the Bible. They are sent to protect, guide, and deliver God's messages to humankind. But what truly defines the image and nature of an angel? The angels in the Bible do not always appear as we might imagine them today. They don't necessarily have human forms, nor do they always wear pure white wings. In many biblical passages, angels appear in extraordinary shapes, with brilliant wings and supernatural strength, as if they were embodiments of light and holy fire. In the Bible, angels often appear at critical moments. They arrive to guide and protect God's chosen people, such as when an angel saves Daniel from the lion's den or brings warnings to the Israelites. One of the most prominent characteristics of angels in the Bible is their radiance and holiness, and especially their incomprehensible strength, as if they represent the very essence of divine light and fire. Seraphim. Seraphim are a special type of angel mentioned in the book of Isaiah, with a distinct and mysterious appearance. The name seraphim means burning ones, and they are described as angels with 6 wings, radiating holy fire. They not only guard God's throne, but also ceaselessly praise Him. The seraphim appear only a few times in the Bible, but their image is vivid, with 3 pairs of wings, 1 pair to cover their faces, 1 to cover their feet, and 1 to fly. They symbolize humility and absolute loyalty to God. Traditionally, they surround God's throne, singing unending praises with the words, "Holy, holy." The image of the seraphim represents not only protection, but also a testimony to God's majesty and beauty. They are the beings closest to God, embodying both His holiness and His mystery. Cherubim. Cherubim are another type of divine being, often associated with protecting what belongs to God. In the Bible, they appear very early on, in the book of Genesis, when God places them to guard the Garden of Eden after humanity is exiled. The image of the cherubim is particularly fascinating, as they are not described as merely human figures, but as beings with a mixture of different features, creating a unique and powerful form. In the Bible, cherubim are not only guardians, but also symbols of God's holiness and strength. In the book of Ezekiel, the cherubim are described with 4 faces: a human face, a lion's face, an ox's face, and an eagle's face, each representing different attributes of God. They have widespread wings, shining with heavenly light, and are capable of seeing all things. Cherubim also appear in the architecture of Solomon's temple and in the Ark of the Covenant, where they are carved with wings covering the sacred ark, protecting the holy covenant of the Israelites. This shows that cherubim are not merely protectors, but also sacred symbols, bridging the connection between God and humanity. Archangels Michael and Gabriel. In the Bible, some angels have specific names and roles, particularly Michael and Gabriel, the two archangels associated with special missions. Michael is the chief of God's army, leading the angels in battles against forces of darkness. Gabriel, on the other hand, is a messenger sent to foretell important events in history. Archangel Michael is one of the most powerful angels, entrusted by God to command the angelic host. In the book of Revelation, Michael leads a heavenly army to defeat the dragon, a symbol of evil. Michael's image is a blend of loyalty, strength, and protection. In the Bible, he is also the protector of Israel, and he is often associated with courage and might. Gabriel is the second prominent archangel, but instead of fighting, he is a herald. Gabriel appears in many significant stories, from delivering the message to Daniel about his visions to announcing to Mary the birth of Jesus. Gabriel embodies calm and wisdom, opening doors to the future and revealing God's divine plans. Michael and Gabriel are not just powerful angels, they are symbols of faith and profound connections between humanity and the Almighty. They embody goodness, hope, and absolute faith in the power and mercy of God. These divine beings, from angels, seraphim, and cherubim to the archangels Michael and Gabriel, are not only symbols of power, but also bridges between humankind and the supernatural world. They are essential characters in the stories of the Bible, each with a unique role and form, yet all sharing the same mission: to protect, guide, and spread the light of faith and divine love. Part 2. Mysterious creatures and beasts. In the Bible, there are references to creatures beyond the familiar, beings that inspire awe, fear, and fascination. These mysterious creatures and beasts often serve as symbols of chaos, power, or judgment, and are sometimes linked to the forces of nature. In this section, we'll journey through the Bible's accounts of creatures like the Leviathan, Behemoth, and others, examining their descriptions, roles, and the possible interpretations that scholars and believers have pondered for centuries. Leviathan. The Leviathan is one of the most famous and terrifying creatures in the Bible, often depicted as a massive sea serpent or dragon. Found in the book of Job, Psalms, and Isaiah, the Leviathan is described as a powerful and indomitable creature that lives in the depths of the sea, challenging humanity and symbolizing the uncontrollable forces of chaos. In the book of Job, God describes the Leviathan to illustrate his own unmatched power over all of creation. The Leviathan is said to have scales so impenetrable that no spear, arrow, or weapon can pierce them. It breathes fire, and its mere presence causes the mighty to tremble. This creature is often portrayed as a monster beyond human understanding or control, a being whose existence highlights both the majesty and mystery of God's creation. Some interpretations suggest that the Leviathan represents the destructive powers of nature, particularly the chaos and danger of the sea, which was seen in ancient times as a realm of darkness and unpredictability. In later Jewish and Christian traditions, the Leviathan took on a symbolic role, representing evil or the devil, an adversary that only God can conquer. The Behemoth is another formidable creature mentioned in the Bible, often paired with the Leviathan. This creature appears in the book of Job, described as a giant land beast with incredible strength, an unyielding frame, and an appetite for the lush vegetation by the river. The Behemoth's sheer power and presence make it a symbol of God's unmatched creativity and the wild, untamable parts of the natural world. The Behemoth is portrayed as a creature with bones like iron bars and a body that can bend the river with its massive strength. Its home is by the reeds and marshes, where it consumes grass like an ox. While its exact form is never fully described, scholars and theologians have speculated that the Behemoth may have been inspired by large animals of the time, such as the hippopotamus, rhinoceros, or even an imagined ancient beast that represents untamed strength. The Behemoth is believed to symbolize the power of the land, just as the Leviathan embodies the sea. Together, these creatures serve as reminders of the vast, powerful forces within creation that lie beyond human control and understanding. They reflect aspects of God's creation that are wild and free, challenging humanity to recognize and respect the power that lies in nature. Ziz. While lesser known, the Ziz is another mystical creature mentioned in Jewish traditions and folklore, and occasionally alluded to in the Bible. The Ziz is typically depicted as a massive bird, so large that its wingspan covers the earth, and it is said to watch over all the creatures of the air. In Jewish folklore, the Ziz is sometimes likened to the Leviathan and the Behemoth, as part of a triad of mighty creatures representing the domains of air, sea, and land. The Ziz's wings are so vast that they can block out the sun, and it is considered a protector of the skies. Though direct references to the Ziz are scarce in the Bible itself, it appears in Talmudic and Midrashic texts as a figure of strength and guardianship, embodying the vastness of the heavens. The Ziz is seen as a symbol of divine protection over creation, particularly over the animals of the sky. It is a creature that, like the Leviathan and Behemoth, represents an aspect of creation that is beyond human reach, an embodiment of God's domain over every part of the natural world. Other mysterious beasts. The Bible also makes passing references to other unusual and ambiguous creatures, adding to the mystery and depth of its text. These creatures, though not as extensively described as the Leviathan or Behemoth, appear as symbols of warning or divine intervention. Dragons and serpents. Dragons and serpents are recurring symbols throughout the Bible, often associated with danger or evil. In the book of Revelation, a great red dragon appears as a symbol of Satan fighting against the archangel Michael. This dragon has 7 heads and 10 horns, embodying the chaotic and destructive forces that oppose God's will. Serpents also appear as both literal and symbolic creatures. For example, in Genesis, the serpent tempts Adam and Eve, representing deception and disobedience. Dragons and serpents have been interpreted in various ways across cultures and religious traditions, often embodying the dual nature of creation, forces that can be both powerful and dangerous, representing the potential for chaos in the world. Their appearances in the Bible are reminders of the spiritual and moral battles that humanity faces. Satyrs and wild beasts. In some passages, the Bible references creatures like satyrs or wild beasts in the context of desolate lands and abandoned places. For example, in Isaiah, satyrs are said to dance in the ruins of destroyed cities, symbolizing desolation and spiritual emptiness. While these creatures may not be literal beings, they often serve as metaphors for moral decay or divine judgment. These references highlight the Bible's use of animalistic imagery to represent states of sin, decay, or spiritual abandonment, showing how the natural world reflects human actions and God's response. Through the Leviathan, Behemoth, Ziz, dragons, serpents, and other mysterious creatures, the Bible offers glimpses into a world filled with awe-inspiring, fearsome, and mysterious beings. They are not just physical creatures, but symbols of God's power, the forces of nature, and the moral battles humanity faces. These creatures invite readers to confront the unknown and reflect on the grand design of creation, a design that remains, in many ways, beyond human comprehension. Part 3. Demons and Fallen Angels. Among the most unsettling and intriguing beings described in the Bible are demons and fallen angels. These entities, often linked to darkness, temptation, and rebellion against God, play a significant role in illustrating the spiritual struggles between good and evil. In this section, we'll delve into the origins, characteristics, and roles of demons and fallen angels as they appear in biblical texts and Christian tradition. We will explore figures such as Satan, the fallen angels, and the demons they are believed to command, as well as the biblical views on their purpose and their influence over humanity. The origin of demons and fallen angels. Demons and fallen angels are frequently associated with rebellion against God, a theme central to understanding their roles and purpose within the Bible. While the Bible does not provide a detailed backstory for every demon or fallen angel, it does hint at a broader narrative of conflict, betrayal, and punishment that gives rise to these beings. In Christian tradition, the story of fallen angels begins with Satan, also known as Lucifer, an archangel who once held a place of honor in heaven. However, Lucifer's pride led him to challenge God's authority, resulting in his expulsion from heaven, along with other angels who joined his rebellion. This story is alluded to in passages like Isaiah 14, verse 12 to 15, and Ezekiel 28, 12 to 17, which describe the fall of a once bright being who sought to place himself above God. These fallen angels, including Satan, became adversaries to God's creation and were transformed into demonic forces opposed to the divine order. In the New Testament, Jesus speaks of Satan's fall, saying, "I saw Satan fall like lightning from heaven." Luke 10:18, reinforcing the image of a powerful being cast down and becoming the chief adversary of God and humanity. Some interpretations also link demons to the Nephilim, mysterious figures from Genesis 6 who were born from the union between the sons of God and human women. These beings were considered giants and mighty warriors, and according to some ancient sources, their spirits became demonic forces after the Great Flood, left to roam the earth as malevolent spirits. Satan, the prince of demons. Satan, known by various names such as Lucifer, the devil, and the adversary, is the most prominent fallen angel in the Bible. He is depicted as the ruler of demons, the ultimate antagonist to God's plans, and a master of deception and temptation. Satan's role evolves across the Bible. In the Old Testament, he appears as an accuser, such as in the book of Job, where he challenges Job's faithfulness to God. However, by the New Testament, Satan is portrayed as the embodiment of evil, leading a rebellion against God and seeking to undermine God's work on earth. Jesus calls Satan the father of lies in the Gospel of John, emphasizing his role as a deceiver who manipulates humanity's desires to draw them away from God. The book of Revelation further depicts Satan as a dragon, symbolizing chaos and destruction, who will ultimately be defeated by God's forces in the final battle between good and evil. In this depiction, Satan is not only a deceiver, but a powerful, almost cosmic force that opposes everything God represents. As the prince of demons, Satan is often seen as the commander of an army of demonic forces, working to corrupt and harm humans. His influence is shown to extend throughout the world, representing the pervasive presence of temptation and sin, and he is viewed as the ultimate test of faith for believers. The fallen angels. Alongside Satan, the Bible suggests that other angels fell from grace and joined him in rebellion. These fallen angels are often seen as his followers and the forces behind the demonic powers mentioned throughout Scripture. In Christian tradition, these fallen angels are understood to be beings who once served God but chose to follow Lucifer's path of pride and defiance. The book of Revelation refers to a group of angels who were cast out of heaven with Satan, symbolized as a third of the stars being swept from the sky by the dragon's tail. Revelation 12 verse 4. These fallen angels, sometimes referred to as unclean spirits or evil spirits, are thought to serve as Satan's agents, carrying out his plans to disrupt and corrupt. The exact nature of these fallen angels is not fully explained in the Bible, leaving room for various interpretations. Some traditions see them as powerful beings with specific roles or powers, while others believe they have been stripped of their former glory and exist only as shadows of their past selves, motivated by anger and vengeance. Their primary objective appears to be the manipulation and corruption of human beings, driving them away from God. They are often portrayed as seeking to inhabit human bodies, inflicting harm and spreading chaos. For example, in the Gospels, Jesus encounters and exorcises these demonic spirits, freeing people from their influence and demonstrating his authority over them. Demons in the New Testament. The New Testament gives us a more detailed view of demons, particularly through the accounts of Jesus and his encounters with them. Demons in the New Testament are depicted as unclean spirits that possess people, causing them physical and mental torment. The Gospels describe numerous instances where Jesus performs exorcisms, casting out demons from those they have possessed. These demons often recognize Jesus' divine authority, expressing fear of his power and acknowledging him as the Son of God. For instance, in the account of the Gerasene demoniac, Mark 5:1-20, a man possessed by a legion of demons is tormented and isolated from society. When Jesus confronts the demons, they beg him not to send them into the abyss, showing an awareness of their ultimate fate and punishment. These stories of exorcism emphasize Jesus' authority over the spiritual realm and his role in liberating humanity from the grasp of evil. The presence of demons in the New Testament reinforces the reality of spiritual warfare, a cosmic struggle in which Jesus emerges as the ultimate victor over evil forces. Demonic influence and spiritual warfare. In addition to physical possession, the Bible also addresses the broader influence of demons over humanity, often in the form of temptation, deception, and moral corruption. Paul's letters in the New Testament emphasize the reality of spiritual warfare, warning believers about the rulers, authorities, and powers of this dark world. Ephesians 6:12. Paul encourages believers to put on the armor of God to resist these forces, suggesting that the influence of demons goes beyond physical possession and extends to moral and spiritual challenges that people face every day. In this context, demons are often seen as tempters, whispering lies and promoting doubt, selfishness, and sin. They aim to turn humanity away from God, making people question their faith and succumb to worldly desires. This portrayal of demons highlights the Bible's message that believers must remain vigilant and steadfast, actively choosing righteousness in the face of temptation. Through these accounts of Satan, fallen angels, and demons, the Bible paints a vivid picture of spiritual opposition and moral struggle. These beings represent not only the literal battles between good and evil, but also the internal, everyday struggles that people face. They remind believers of the importance of faith, vigilance, and reliance on God's strength to overcome darkness. While demons and fallen angels may inspire fear, the Bible's message is one of ultimate hope and triumph over evil, emphasizing that God's light will prevail over the forces of darkness. Part 4. Symbolic Beasts and Visions of Prophecy. In the Bible, there are visions and descriptions of strange symbolic beasts, creatures that don't represent real animals but carry deeper meanings and warnings. These visions, often shared by prophets, paint pictures of bizarre creatures that are symbolic of future events, kingdoms, or divine truths. This section delves into the most iconic symbolic beasts from the books of Daniel, Ezekiel, and Revelation, exploring their unique features, their meanings, and the prophetic messages they bring to the biblical narrative. The beasts of Daniel's vision. In the book of Daniel, the prophet Daniel receives a vision filled with mysterious, powerful beasts, each representing a kingdom or empire. These beasts are not ordinary animals. They are strange, hybrid creatures with characteristics that convey deeper meanings about the nature of each kingdom they represent. Daniel's vision, recorded in Daniel 7, describes 4 beasts rising from the sea, each symbolizing an empire with unique qualities. 1. The lion with eagle's wings. This first beast appears as a lion with the wings of an eagle. It is described as having its wings plucked off and then being lifted up to stand on 2 feet like a human, with a human heart given to it. Scholars often interpret this creature as a symbol of Babylon, representing both strength and pride. The image of wings being removed and the lion standing upright is seen as symbolic of a humbling process or transformation. 2. The bear raised on one side. The second beast is a bear, raised up on one side, holding 3 ribs in its mouth between its teeth. This bear is thought to symbolize the Medo-Persian Empire, with the raised side possibly indicating the dominance of Persia over Media. The 3 ribs may represent conquered nations or regions, symbolizing the empire's aggressive expansion. 3. The 4-headed, 4-winged leopard. The third beast, a leopard with 4 wings and 4 heads, is known for its speed and cunning. This creature is often associated with the Greek Empire, specifically under Alexander the Great, who conquered vast territories rapidly. The 4 heads are thought to represent the division of Alexander's empire into 4 parts after his death. 4. The terrifying beast with iron teeth and 10 horns. The 4th beast in Daniel's vision is unlike any animal we know. It is described as dreadful, exceedingly strong, with iron teeth that devour and crush everything in its path. This beast has 10 horns which later sprout an 11th little horn, with eyes and a mouth that speaks arrogantly. Many interpret this beast as a symbol of the Roman Empire, with the 10 horns representing its might and vast influence. The 11th horn is often seen as a future antagonist, perhaps a ruler or force opposing God's people. These visions are apocalyptic, conveying messages about the rise and fall of earthly powers. Each beast represents not just a historical kingdom, but also the cyclical nature of human ambition and the eventual triumph of God's kingdom over all worldly empires. Ezekiel's vision, the four living creatures. The prophet Ezekiel also experiences visions of extraordinary creatures, described as living beings with a surreal, almost otherworldly appearance. These creatures are not just symbolic of kingdoms, but are thought to represent God's majesty and divine authority. In Ezekiel 1, he describes a vision of four living creatures appearing out of a stormy cloud, each with a human form but with four faces, those of a man, a lion, an ox, and an eagle, and four wings. These creatures are surrounded by wheels covered in eyes, symbolizing omniscience and the all-seeing presence of God. The four faces are believed to represent different aspects of creation and God's character. The human face symbolizes intelligence and wisdom. The lion's face represents strength and royalty. The ox's face symbolizes patience and service. The eagle's face represents swiftness and vision. These creatures move in perfect harmony, not turning as they go, symbolizing the unity and omnipotence of God's will. The wheels covered in eyes may signify God's all-encompassing knowledge and presence, observing every part of creation without limitation. The four living creatures also appear in the book of Revelation, where they surround God's throne, singing praises day and night. Their repeated presence in both Ezekiel and Revelation underscores their role as powerful, eternal symbols of God's presence and authority over all creation. The beasts of Revelation. The book of Revelation contains some of the most vivid and terrifying symbolic creatures in the Bible, representing cosmic forces, empires, and future events in a dramatic struggle between good and evil. John, the author of Revelation, shares visions of beasts that serve as metaphors for powers opposing God's kingdom, including the infamous beast from the sea, the beast from the earth, and the dragon. The beast from the sea. In Revelation 13, John describes a beast rising out of the sea bearing 7 heads, 10 horns, and 10 crowns. Each head has a blasphemous name, and the beast is given power by the dragon, often understood to represent Satan. This beast is a hybrid creature, resembling a leopard, with the feet of a bear and the mouth of a lion, a combination that echoes the beasts in Daniel's vision. The beast from the sea is often interpreted as a symbol of oppressive, worldly power, possibly representing empires or systems of government that act against God's laws. Its many heads and crowns suggest a global authority, an empire with vast influence. The beast's blasphemous nature and its worship by the people symbolize humanity's tendency to idolize power and authority over righteousness and faith. The beast from the earth, a second beast, known as the beast from the earth, appears later in Revelation 13. This creature has 2 horns like a lamb, but speaks like a dragon. It performs signs and wonders, deceiving people and leading them to worship the first beast. This beast is commonly interpreted as a false prophet, a deceptive force that promotes falsehoods and encourages people to stray from God's teachings. The beast from the earth represents the danger of deception and false doctrines that can lead believers astray. The imagery of a lamb-like appearance but dragon-like speech emphasizes its insidious nature, appearing innocent but concealing its true intentions. The dragon. The dragon in Revelation is a powerful and ancient symbol of evil, described as a great red dragon with 7 heads and 10 horns, similar in appearance to the beast from the sea. The dragon wages war against God's angels, seeks to devour the Messiah, and ultimately opposes the faithful. This dragon is traditionally understood to represent Satan or the devil, embodying ultimate chaos and rebellion against God. In the cosmic battle depicted in Revelation, the dragon and the beasts are ultimately defeated, symbolizing the victory of God's kingdom over all forces of darkness. These beasts and creatures represent the spiritual and worldly powers that oppose God, emphasizing the Bible's message of hope and the promise of divine justice. The purpose of symbolic beasts. The symbolic beasts and creatures described in prophetic visions serve a dual purpose in the Bible. On one level, they are warnings about worldly empires, spiritual deception, and the dangers of pride and rebellion. On another level, they are reminders of God's ultimate power and the certainty of his victory over evil. In these visions, we see the transient nature of human power and the constant threat of forces that oppose God's kingdom. The imagery is vivid and sometimes terrifying, but it ultimately points toward a message of redemption and divine justice. The strange beasts of prophecy highlight the ongoing spiritual battle between good and evil and reassure believers of God's sovereignty over every force in creation. Through the beasts in Daniel's visions, Ezekiel's living creatures, and the monstrous figures in Revelation, the Bible uses symbolism to illustrate the realities of human and divine struggles. These creatures, though strange and unsettling, convey profound truths about the nature of God, the dangers of worldly pride, and the promise of ultimate victory for those who remain faithful. They invite believers to look beyond appearances, to discern the deeper meanings in life, and to trust in God's wisdom and justice. Here's a detailed, thoughtful conclusion for your video on the creatures of the Bible, what we know and what we don't, to wrap up the insights and leave your audience with a lasting impression. This section emphasizes the deeper meanings behind these biblical creatures, their purpose in the biblical narrative, and what lessons we can draw from them today. We've journeyed through the incredible, mysterious, and sometimes terrifying creatures of the Bible. From the Leviathan of the deep seas and the behemoth of the earth to the angels, demons, and symbolic beasts of prophecy, these creatures give us glimpses of a world both familiar and unknown. But what do these beings really mean for us? What lessons can we take away from them, and how do they speak to the challenges, hopes, and fears we still face? A universe of mystery and meaning. The creatures of the Bible remind us that the world we inhabit is full of mystery. Even in a time where science has explained much about our physical surroundings, the presence of these fantastical beings in biblical texts invites us to consider realities beyond the observable and measurable. These beings underscore the Bible's message that life extends far beyond our immediate senses. In ancient times, people lived closer to nature and saw signs of the divine in the world around them. The Bible's creatures, whether they're awe-inspiring, frightening, or symbolic, call readers to see the world as part of a larger, divine story. They suggest that the spiritual and the physical are interconnected, with each influencing the other. When we read about the Leviathan, the Seraphim, or the dragon, we're invited to reflect on what it means to encounter the unknown. These creatures act as symbols of mystery and transcendence, helping us realize that while we may understand a great deal about the world, there will always be more beyond our reach. This sense of awe and humility before the unknown is one of the Bible's greatest gifts, encouraging us to live with curiosity, wonder, and reverence. A reflection on humanity's struggles and aspirations. These creatures also tell us something profound about ourselves. In their forms and functions, we see reflections of our own struggles, aspirations, and limitations. Each creature holds a mirror up to humanity, revealing aspects of our own nature, our fears, and our potential. For instance, the Leviathan and Behemoth embody the untamed power of nature, forces beyond human control, reminding us of our vulnerability and dependence on a higher power. The descriptions of these beasts challenge us to recognize our limits and to trust in God's order amidst chaos. The Leviathan, for example, is depicted as a beast only God can tame, reminding us that there are aspects of life that lie beyond human mastery. The angelic and demonic figures offer another mirror. Angels represent the highest ideals, purity, strength, and obedience to God's will, while demons symbolize rebellion, pride, and the consequences of turning away from the divine. Through these beings, the Bible underscores the dual nature of humanity's inner life. We're shown that within each of us lies the potential for goodness, but also the capacity for pride, self-deception, and moral failure. The presence of both angels and demons in biblical stories illustrates the ongoing moral and spiritual struggle that shapes each person's journey. In the symbolic beasts of prophecy, we find humanity's tendency to pursue power, often at the cost of justice, compassion, and integrity. These beasts represent worldly empires and corrupt systems, warning against the dangers of unchecked ambition and the lure of authority. They challenge us to reflect on the systems we build and support, urging us to create societies that align with God's values of justice, mercy, and humility. The divine drama of good versus evil. In a way, the creatures of the Bible serve as characters in a grand cosmic drama, one that revolves around the age-old struggle between good and evil. Through these beings, we're reminded that life is more than just a series of random events. It's a story, a journey with purpose and direction. The creatures, from the terrifying beasts of Revelation to the noble seraphim in God's throne room, help paint a picture of a universe divided between forces of light and darkness. The battles depicted in the Bible, particularly in books like Revelation, aren't just about angels and demons clashing in some distant realm. They represent the moral battles we face in our own lives, the daily choices to embrace kindness over cruelty, truth over deception, humility over pride. This cosmic struggle invites believers to see their lives as part of a larger narrative. The creatures of the Bible remind us that every choice we make, no matter how small, contributes to this ongoing story. They call us to stand on the side of goodness, compassion, and faith, joining the angels, saints, and all who seek to follow God's path. The ultimate victory of good over evil is a central theme in the Bible, and the creatures, whether allies or adversaries, each play their role in advancing this message. Even the darkest figures, like the dragon or the beast from Revelation, serve a purpose in illustrating the dangers of opposing God's will and the inevitability of divine justice. Their eventual defeat reassures believers that evil will not have the final word. Faith in God's sovereignty and the promise of hope. One of the most powerful themes that emerges from these stories is faith in God's sovereignty. Through these creatures, the Bible illustrates the idea that God is in control, no matter how fearsome or overwhelming certain forces may seem. When we read about creatures like Leviathan or the apocalyptic beasts, it can be tempting to feel a sense of fear or foreboding. But the biblical narrative consistently points back to God's authority over all creation, reminding readers that no matter how chaotic or dark things may appear, God's order prevails. The vision of angels surrounding God's throne, worshiping and serving without end, reflects the stability and harmony of God's kingdom, untouched by the turmoil below. In times of personal hardship, or when the world feels especially troubled, these stories encourage believers to place their trust in God's wisdom and power. They assure us that even when life presents challenges beyond our understanding, we're never beyond the reach of God's care and guidance. The creatures in the Bible also bring a message of hope. Just as the Bible ends with a vision of a new heaven and a new earth, where peace and justice reign, these creatures remind us that every struggle has an end, and that good ultimately prevails. The final defeat of evil creatures in Revelation serves as a promise that all suffering, fear, and uncertainty will one day be replaced by joy, peace, and the fulfillment of God's plan. Final thoughts. The creatures of the Bible serve many roles, as symbols, as messengers, and as participants in the grand story of God's relationship with humanity. They reveal truths about the world, about ourselves, and about God, challenging us to look beyond the surface and seek deeper understanding. In the end, these beings remind us of the richness of the biblical text and its layers of meaning. They invite us to read carefully, to interpret wisely, and to approach the Bible with a sense of wonder. While some aspects may remain mysterious, they all contribute to the Bible's message that there is a divine purpose to our lives and to the world. In exploring the creatures of the Bible, we're not just reading ancient stories or studying unusual characters. We're engaging with profound ideas about existence, morality, faith, and the eternal. These creatures call us to be courageous, compassionate, and committed to the path of righteousness. They ask us to recognize the mysteries of life while placing our trust in the wisdom of God. As we conclude this journey through the creatures of the Bible, may we carry forward their lessons, to embrace mystery, to live with integrity, and to place our hope in the ultimate triumph of good over evil. The creatures of the Bible remind us that we are part of a story that is still unfolding. A story where, with faith, we each have a role to play in bringing light into the world. Leave your thoughts in the comments below. Also, if you enjoyed this video, be sure to check out our next video where we explore more mysterious aspects of Bible stories. May God bless you. Thanks for watching, and see you next time.